Today, we're diving into the extraordinary life of a man whose name is synonymous with freedom, justice, and unwavering resilience. Nelson Mandela. His journey is not just a story from a history book. It's a powerful testament to the human spirit's ability to overcome unimaginable hardship and change the world. So, grab a seat and let's explore the life of Madiba. Born Rolihlahla Mandela on July 18, 1918, in the small village of Mvezo in South Africa, his name prophetically meant pulling the branch of a tree, or more colloquially, troublemaker. He was given the name Nelson by a teacher on his first day of school, a common practice for African children at the time. Growing up in a traditional Thembu royal family, young Nelson was steeped in the customs and history of his people. He listened intently to the elders' stories of his ancestors' courage during the wars of resistance. These early years, spent herding cattle and living a simple rural life, instilled in him a deep love for his land and a strong sense of African identity. His father was a chief, and though he passed away when Mandela was young, his position granted Mandela access to an education that was a rare privilege for Black South Africans of his generation. He attended Fort Hare University, a hub for African intellectuals, where his political consciousness began to truly awaken. It was here that he first became involved in student protests against the policies of the white minority government, a first taste of the activism that would define his life. After being expelled from Fort Hare for his role in a student strike, Mandela moved to Johannesburg in 1941. The bustling, segregated city was a stark contrast to his rural upbringing. It was in Johannesburg that he witnessed the brutal reality of apartheid firsthand. Apartheid was a system of institutionalized racial segregation and discrimination, where every aspect of life was dictated by race. Black people were denied basic rights, forced to live in separate areas, and treated as second-class citizens in their own country. This injustice fueled a fire within him. He completed his law degree through the University of South Africa and, along with his friend Oliver Tambo, opened the first Black-owned law firm in the country. Their office became a beacon of hope for countless Black South Africans who had nowhere else to turn for legal help against the oppressive apartheid state. They fought against pass laws, forced evictions, and police brutality, battling a biased system from within. But Mandela soon realized that legal challenges alone were not enough. The system wasn't just broken, it was designed to be unjust. A more radical approach was needed. In 1944, Mandela joined the African National Congress, or ANC. Frustrated with the party's older, more cautious generation, he, along with other young firebrands like Walter Sisulu and Oliver Tambo, founded the ANC Youth League. They advocated for a more confrontational, mass-action approach, including boycotts, strikes, and civil disobedience. The turning point came in 1960. Following the Sharpeville massacre, where police opened fire on peaceful protesters, killing 69 people, the government banned the ANC and other liberation movements. It became clear to Mandela and his comrades that nonviolent protest was being met with lethal force. With peaceful avenues exhausted, the ANC made the difficult decision to form an armed wing, Umkhonto we Sizwe, meaning Spear of the Nation. Mandela became its co-founder and leader. This was not a decision taken lightly. As Mandela himself would later explain, it was a choice made only when all other doors to a peaceful resolution had been slammed shut. He went underground, traveling the country in disguise and even receiving military training abroad. His ability to evade capture earned him the nickname the Black Pimpernel. However, his time on the run was short-lived. In 1962, Mandela was arrested and sentenced to 5 years in prison. But while serving this sentence, he and other ANC leaders were charged with sabotage in what became known as the Rivonia Trial. The charges carried the death penalty. Facing the possibility of execution, Mandela delivered one of the most powerful speeches of the 20th century from the dock. He concluded with these immortal words, "I have fought against white domination and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." His words echoed around the globe. He and his co-accused were spared the death penalty but were sentenced to life in prison. Mandela was sent to the notorious Robben Island. For the next 18 years, Nelson Mandela was prisoner 466664. Robben Island was a harsh, desolate place. Prisoners were forced to perform hard labor in a lime quarry, their eyes permanently damaged by the glare. They slept on thin mats on cold concrete floors and were subjected to constant humiliation by the guards. Yet, even in these bleak conditions, Mandela's spirit refused to be broken. He turned the prison into a university, where prisoners educated each other, debated politics, and kept the flame of the struggle alive. He learned Afrikaans, the language of his oppressors, to better understand them and eventually to negotiate with them. He became a leader within the prison, a source of strength and discipline for his fellow inmates. While Mandela was locked away, his wife, Winnie Madikizela Mandela, and his comrades outside continued the fight. The Free Nelson Mandela campaign grew into a massive international movement. Artists, musicians, and politicians worldwide took up the cause, and economic sanctions were imposed on South Africa's apartheid regime. Mandela had become the world's most famous political prisoner, a global symbol of resistance against injustice. Finally, after 27 long years in prison, the pressure became too much for the apartheid government. On February 11, 1990, the world watched as a 71-year-old Nelson Mandela walked out of Victor Verster prison, a free man. The moment was electric, a symbol of hope for oppressed people everywhere. But Mandela's work was far from over. Instead of seeking revenge for the decades stolen from him, he chose the path of reconciliation. He knew that anger and bitterness would only lead to more conflict. South Africa was on the brink of a civil war, and it was Mandela's leadership that pulled it back. He worked tirelessly with President F.W. de Klerk to negotiate a peaceful end to apartheid and transition to a multiracial democracy. It was an incredibly delicate process, fraught with danger and mistrust. But Mandela's grace, wisdom, and willingness to forgive were the guiding forces that held the nation together. For their efforts, Mandela and de Klerk were jointly awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1993. In 1994, South Africa held its first-ever democratic elections, where all citizens, regardless of race, could vote. Millions of black South Africans, many of whom were elderly and had waited their entire lives for this moment, stood in line for hours to cast their first ballot. It was a profoundly moving sight. Nelson Mandela was overwhelmingly elected as the first black president of a free South Africa. His inauguration was a celebration of a new rainbow nation, a term coined by Archbishop Desmond Tutu to describe a country finally at peace with itself. As president, Mandela focused on dismantling the legacy of apartheid, tackling institutionalized racism, and fostering national reconciliation. One of his most iconic moments came during the 1995 Rugby World Cup. Rugby had long been a symbol of white Afrikaner supremacy, but Mandela famously wore the Springbok jersey, the team's emblem, and cheered them on. When the South African team won, the image of Mandela presenting the trophy to the team's captain, François Pienaar, became a powerful symbol of unity, uniting black and white South Africans in a shared moment of national pride. After serving one term as president, Mandela gracefully stepped down in 1999, demonstrating his commitment to democratic principles. He didn't cling to power. Instead, he transitioned into a new role as a global elder statesman, advocating for peace, human rights, and social justice through the Nelson Mandela Foundation. He dedicated his later years to raising awareness about the HIV/AIDS pandemic, a major crisis in South Africa, and to promoting education and development. Nelson Mandela passed away on December 5, 2013, at the age of 95. The world mourned the loss of a true giant of history. But his legacy is not one of sadness. It's one of triumph. It's a story that teaches us about the power of forgiveness over vengeance, courage in the face of fear, and the incredible impact one person can have on the world. His story is a vital reminder that our shared humanity is what truly matters. If you found this video inspiring, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel for more stories about the people who shaped our world. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next video. We'll see you next time.